as the United States and Iran exchanged fresh military strikes, pushing tensions to a dangerous new level. The latest confrontation began after Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, also known as IRGC, announced the closure of the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz until further notice. Tehran said that the move was in response to what it called continued U.S. interference in the region and warned that no vessel would be allowed to transit the waterway until Washington ended its military involvement. Well, the situation has escalated dramatically when the IRGC attacked the Cyprus-flagged container ship MV GFS Galaxy in the Strait of Hormuz. Well, according to the U.S. Central Command, the vessel suffered significant engine room damage and onboard fire broke out and one civilian crew member remains missing. The ship was left unable to continue its journey. The UK Maritime Trade Operations Agency later confirmed that the crew had abandoned the vessel and taken refuge in lifeboats after the attack. And within hours, the United States launched a fresh wave of retaliatory strikes against Iran. U.S. Central Command said that this marked the third round of American strikes against Iranian targets within the week. And according to the CENTCOM, the attacks were ordered directly by the U.S. President Donald Trump with the objective of degrading Iran's ability to target civilian ships and commercial maritime traffic in the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. War Secretary Pete Hegseth reinforced Washington's stance with a blunt message saying Iran made a poor choice. Now they pay. Well, soon after the strikes, multiple explosions were reported across southern Iran, as Iranian state media confirmed blasts in Bandar Abbas, Sirik and Kashmir Island, indicating that key military and strategic locations may have been targeted. Well, at the same time, Iran claimed that it had destroyed a command and control center and drone facilities at a U.S. allied military base in Jordan. The conflict quickly expanded across the Gulf region, with the United Arab Emirates activating its air defense system against incoming missiles and drones. Qatar intercepting missile attacks, Bahrain sounding nationwide air raid sirens and explosions being reported in Doha. Iran has defended its decision to close the Strait of Hormuz by claiming that several vessels attempted to travel through what it described as unauthorized routes. The IRGC alleged that one vessel ignored repeated warnings, switched off its tracking systems and compromised maritime security before being struck. Tehran warned that any further military action by the United States or its allies would trigger an even stronger response, including attacks on additional military bases across the region. The Strait of Hormuz remains one of the world's most strategically important waterways, with nearly one-fifth of global oil and liquefied natural gas exports passing through it every day. Iran's renewed blockade has already caused energy prices to surge worldwide, raising fears of higher fuel costs, rising inflation and fresh economic uncertainty across the global markets. And despite the military escalation, diplomatic efforts continue behind the scenes. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi held talks with Oman's Foreign Minister in order to discuss possible mechanisms for ensuring safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz. Reports also suggest that Iran, the United States, Qatar and Pakistan have been exploring mediation efforts, although there has been no confirmation that any agreement has been reached. Meanwhile, Iran's new supreme leader Mojtaba Khamenei has further intensified the rhetoric and in his first public message following the funeral of his father, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who was killed in earlier U.S.-Israel strikes. Mojtaba ensured that revenge was inevitable. He declared that avenging the deaths of Iran's leaders and those killed in the conflict was the will of the Iranian nation and would happen regardless of who remained in power. U.S. President Donald Trump has also issued one of its strongest warnings yet. Posting on Truth Social, Donald Trump claimed that 1,000 American missiles were locked and loaded and aimed at Iran. He warned that any attempt to assassinate him would result in overwhelming military retaliation that is capable of completely devastating Iran. And with both the sides continuing military operations, the Strait of Hormuz effectively closed, Gulf nations on high alert and diplomatic negotiations struggling to gain momentum. Fears are growing that the crisis could spiral into a much wider regional conflict with significant consequences for global energy supplies, international trade and the geopolitical stability. That's all for now. Stay tuned to the Savera for more updates. Do like, comment and subscribe to the channel.